Hi everyone. I'm Shanotra, and I'm joined by my colleague Malvika. And today we're going to be discussing the law and recourses available to LGBT persons who face violence owing to their gender identity or their sexual orientation. Now, the battle for achieving equal rights for LGBT persons in India has been a really long one, and definitely like can be categorized as a roller coaster ride. Now, though homosexuality has officially been decriminalized in 2018, when Section 377 was read down in the Navdeep Johar case, the battle for holistic acceptance of LGBT persons being equal right bearers in our country is still ongoing. Now, what we're specifically going to be talking about today is that if you face violence and discrimination because of your gender identity or sexual orientation, what are the options and remedies available to you? Malvika and I will cover instances like harassment, blackmail, dealing with police, and tell you basically what all you can do in such scenarios. So, to begin with, it's important for you to know that no one can harass you, hurt you, complain to the police about you, or send you to jail for your sexual orientation or gender identity. This means that you cannot face violence for being sexually attracted to a person of any other gender, be it your same gender or a transgender. Now, same also goes for your identity, by the way. Now, if you identify with a gender other than the one assigned to you at birth, uh, you cannot be victimized for it. It's your choice, and it's your right to be recognized either male, female, or transgender, and you don't need to undergo any form of gender affirmation therapy for this. If anyone is harassing you for these reasons, you should file a complaint with the police. Now, another important thing to note here is that you need to know that the law basically recognizes all kinds of violence that you may be subjected to, be it sexual violence, physical violence, or psychological violence. It can range from anywhere from rape, assault, kidnapping, to blackmailing, and even like online violence, and even like, or even just threatening to hurt you. Now, Malvika will discuss some of these crimes in detail, but if you feel harassed at any point, you must definitely complain to the police by filing an FIR.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, to begin with, when we look at all the issues that are ongoing, you'll understand that there are a lot of challenges that LGBTQ persons face when they actually go to the police or they go to the court, when in fact they're discussing all the issues regarding the violence that they face. So, if there's a situation where you're being hurt or injured, you have a right to complain and file an FIR with the police, regardless of your gender identity or sexual orientation. Now, it's useful to know what all sections of the law can be used, because some of the sections in laws, for example, in Indian Penal Code, for example, stalking can only be done by a woman, can only be done by a man against a woman. So you can go to the police station and use some of the gender neutral laws that I'm going to mention, and these will be registered in your in the FIR that you file with the police, and you can then take this person to court and continue with the criminal complaint. So let's say there are situations where you're being hurt and you're being injured. You can use sections 321 and 350 of the Indian Penal Code to file an FIR. And let's say you have any specific injuries, which may include any kind of emasculation, depriving you of eyesight, hearing, any fractures, dislocation, any kind of action that endangers your life, causes severe body pain, uh, or let's say there's a situation where someone's using acid on you, for example. All of these situations, you can definitely go to the police station and file an FIR with the help of section 320 and 322 of the Indian Penal Code. Now, let's say that someone's using a dangerous weapon against you. Now, these weapons may include knives, objects to shoot like guns, explosives like firecrackers, heated objects, corrosive substances, poison, etc. If any of these are used, or if common objects are used, uh, so that they turn out to be weapons, like for example using a cigarette lighter or using any home based product to hurt you. If any of these instances happen, you should definitely go to the police station and file an FIR under section 324 and 326 of the Indian Penal Code. Now, even threatening to hurt you, no matter whether it happens online or offline or through any medium, is something you can file an FIR against with the help of Section 350 and 351 of the Indian Penal Code. For example, let's say that someone is waving a knife at you and threatens to hurt you, and or they're making any gestures at you indicating that they may hurt you and it's causing fear or apprehension in you, you can definitely file an FIR. Now, one of the main situations faced by the LGBT community is blackmailing. And that if anybody basically blackmails or threatens to out your identity or your sexual orientation or asks money or anything of value to maintain their silence, then this means they're committing the crime of extortion. Even the threat of injuring you in this process would amount to the crime of extortion. For example, if someone asks you money in exchange for keeping your decision to change your gender identity a secret, this is a crime of extortion and you should definitely complain to the police. The section of the Indian Penal Code that you can use is section 383 of the Indian Penal Code. Now, there have been certain cases in the Delhi High Court where they've looked at situations where families lock up children who identify differently with their gender or sexual orientation. So, if you are being obstructed from leaving a place, or you're confined in a particular area, or you're locked inside a room for any reason, it can be for any reason, you can definitely go to the police station. This is known as wrongful confinement, and you can file an FIR for wrongful confinement. The person you're filing this against may face jail time for 1 year and a fine of rupees 1,000. It's really important to have people you can connect to immediately so that you can reach out to them in case you are in trouble. And you can file a complaint using section 340 and 342 of the Indian Penal Code. Now, Shanotra will take you through some other instances of violence which may happen.
So another common place and very often where violence and harassment happens against LGBT persons is in the online sphere. Now, online abuse can happen on various platforms on the internet, be it social media or chat forums. If you face harassment or abuse online, your first step should be to see what the policy of that platform is, like where the abuse is happening is, and what are the steps that the platform is recommending for you to do to stop the abuse. Now, most of these social media platforms have an option to report the abuse and file a complaint there itself, regardless of your gender orientation. But there's a small chance that this policy may differ from platform to platform. So it's best to check the policy first. Now, you may also face situations where someone is trying to out your sexual orientation, as Malvika said, sexual orientation or gender identity without your permission. In such cases, you can take immediate action by blocking them or reporting them on that platform. And if you're being harassed with calls or texts on your phone by this person, you can block them on your phone also. If the administrators of the platform are not being very responsive, or the kind of harassment that you're facing is very severe and repetitive, you can go ahead and file a police complaint to the local police station or even approach the cyber cell. Now, you can even do this online. Most states have the facility of filing an FIR online and even approaching their cyber cells online. You'll have to check depending on the state that you're in, though. But also, depending upon the offense, it may happen that only women or trans women subjected to certain kinds of violence would be able to file complaints, as Malvika had earlier explained. Now, if you're a man or a trans man who's subjected to violence, you will be able to file an FIR. But as Malvika said, only for certain offenses, like someone who's caused you hurt or like has tried to injure you in some way. Now, some of the like common instances of how like online abuse happens, it is where, say, first someone is trying to take over your account without your permission. Then they can even steal your identity online. They could be impersonating you and threatening you and harassing you, like basically just blackmailing you to out you. Then they could be impersonating you online or basically even posting personal pictures of you or videos of you without your permission. They could also be stalking you online, but again, this depends if like who is filing the complaint and who was the victim of this crime and who the perpetrator was also. Then blackmailing you online is also a very common problem that a lot of LGBT persons face. Then using abusive language and even threatening online, like all of this, any of these activities happening online, you can file a complaint. First, with you should check with your the administrators of the platform that where the abuse is happening, and then definitely like go ahead and file a police complaint. Now, other forms of violence that happens against LGBT persons is sexual violence. Now, if you faced any form of like sexual violence, which may include rape, inappropriate touching, stalking, and so on, you can file an FIR with the police. Now, you can file a complaint against anyone. I mean, more often than not, has happened that people who have come out to their families have been subjected to violence by their family members itself. And like the important thing to know over here is that you can file a complaint against your family member also. And family members, just an example, it could be anyone close to you, it could be your neighbor, it could be your teacher. The important thing is you have to go ahead and complain and file an FIR. Now, if you are a woman or a trans woman, you have the right to file a complaint under laws on sexual violence in India, but only against a man. And if you are a man or a trans man, you cannot file an FIR under the laws on sexual violence in India, since men and trans men cannot be victims of sexual violence. Your only alternative in this case, as we had mentioned earlier, is to file a case of hurt, grievous hurt, or if someone is has injured you or tried to injure you. Now, sexual violence can also happen at a workplace. So, if this such harassment or violence is happening at your office, and if your office has a gender neutral sexual harassment policy, then you can go ahead and file a complaint with your internal complaints committee. But again, it's important to note that this can happen, like men and trans men can only file a complaint with the ICC if you have a gender neutral sexual harassment policy. If not, then only women and trans women are covered under this law. Then another more gruesome form of sexual violence that LGBT persons face is rape. Now, basically, as defined under law, rape is when a man has sexual intercourse with you without your consent, and it's basically like that this is how like rape is defined under the law. Now, currently, only women or trans women can be victims of rape or sexual violence and can file a case only against a man. Now, if you are a man or a trans man who was forced to have sexual intercourse, like, and the intercourse was done without your consent, you will not be able to file a complaint for rape or any other form of sexual violence, unfortunately. Now, instead, your alternative would be to file a complaint stating that you were hurt or injured, as we had mentioned, because unfortunately, these are the only options available under IPC as of now. Malvika will now take you over how filing of complaints and processes for FIR generally work in such cases.
Now, as Shanotra mentioned, most of the provisions of IPC are not very gender positive. Either the crime can take place only against a man, or or the victim can only be a woman. So there are many demarcations that happen. Since Shanotra has covered extensively sexual violence and rape of different gender identities under the Indian Penal Code, it's important to note that the Transgender Act that has been passed last year has a provision, Section 18, which says that anyone who harms or injures or endangers the life, safety, or well being, or mental or physical well being of a transgender person, including any form of abuse, which may be physical, sexual, verbal, emotional, economic, can file a complaint, and the person will be punishable with a term between 6 months and 2 years with a fine. So definitely there are a lot of challenges, as Shanotra has mentioned, under the Indian Penal Code. But at the same time, the transgender law is quite new and the rules have also not been drafted. So that is why it's important to note that even though there is such a provision, you may have a tough time actually going to the police station and filing an FIR under this section. So it's important to understand what the laws on sexual violence and physical violence are in India, because many of the police officers also who register FIRs um, will have a tough time definitely to make sure that the FIR is registered, and that is why it is very important, so that you don't face any form of discrimination by them, to make sure you have support and a lawyer with you at the time of filing the FIR. Now, moving on, in terms of filing the FIR itself, you can file it at a police station closest to you, or you can file it at any police station, and they will transfer the case to the police station near which the crime actually took place. This is known as zero FIR. It does so when the police officer asks you to move from one police station to the other. Please remember that the concept of zero FIR does exist, and that they have to mandatorily register your FIR and they can transfer it later. Now, for crimes that happen against women and trans women, as Shunotra had mentioned, including sexual violence and rape, for these crimes especially, a woman police officer has to fill out the FIR. This is given in the CRPC. 1973 Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. So it is important to note that you also have this right. Now, there may be a lot of difficulties while filing the FIR, as I had mentioned. So, some of the options that you have are that you can file a written complaint to the superintendent of police. He may conduct an investigation himself or order subordinate police to carry it out. Now, you can take the help of a lawyer while going to the police station. This is useful as lawyers will be able to advocate on your behalf, and the possibility of harassment you may face when the police officers will be less. You can go to another police station and file the FIR. Like I mentioned, the concept of zero FIR exists. So you can go to another police station if a particular police station is harassing you. You can request someone else to file the FIR on your behalf if it is easier to get the FIR registered. That is also possible. And you can also go to other complaint forums like national and state human rights commissions, national commissions for women, etc., who will not only help you in approaching the police, but they will also look into the incident of violence and harassment themselves. You can also approach the district magistrate or judicial magistrate of your area by directly filing a complaint with the help of a lawyer. This would be most effective if you are facing harassment from police officials themselves. Now, Shinotra will take you through what happens if someone is arrested or there's custody harassment.
So basically, regardless of your gender or your sexual orientation, you have rights under the law while being arrested. Now, when a police officer wants to arrest you for any crime or suspicion of a crime, they may come to your location and arrest you. Now, the arrest can happen in either with a warrant or without a warrant. It may also happen that the police may issue you a notice to appear before the police station in relation to an ongoing investigation, which may or may not lead to an arrest. So these are the three scenarios where basically you can get arrested. Now, in all of these cases, your rights are the same as every other person being arrested. Your friends and family members have to be informed. You have the right to contact a lawyer. You have the permission to read your arrest memo before signing in. Now, please to go over our arrest explainer on our website that has detailed list of your rights for when you are being arrested. And basically, another thing to note is that when you are arrested, you have to be mindful of the fact that custodial violence and harassment at the hands of police is a very real thing. Now, there are certain safeguards in law to protect you from such violence, but if you feel harassed or intimidated by the police, please complain to the senior inspector of that police station. Or in case if the senior inspector is not listening, you also have the option to file a private complaint with a magistrate. Now, even a family member or a lawyer can do this for you. Now, the primary thing to remember here is that when you are being arrested, the police are legally required to present you before a magistrate within 24 hours of arrest. Now, this is one of the basic safeguards available to ensure that you don't face custodial violence. Moreover, you can even be like, you can also only be in police custody at a time for 15 days at a time. Now, you also have the right to undergo periodical medical checkups to ensure that no physical injury has been done on you while you were in custody. If there was any, it gets recorded in the through the medical examination. It gets recorded in the arrest memo, and the same can be very helpful as evidence for your complaint against custodial violence in the future. So these are the basic points that you need to remember. And please go over the arrest explainer on our website that, like as I said, has detailed information on what your rights are. Now Malika, I'll just like very quickly take you over applying for bail and certain helplines available in case of violence.
So, getting bail is a matter of right that you can apply for, and you can get bail regardless of your gender identity or sexual orientation. Again, you will need the help of a criminal lawyer to get bail, and this right is dependent on the kind of crime you have been arrested for. It's not dependent on your sexual orientation or gender identity. So for bailable crimes, you might get bail, and for non-bailable crimes also, you can get bail in specific circumstances. You can definitely check out our explainer on bail to read more on the process because it is a gender-neutral process. When it comes to helplines for LGBTQ persons, it's important to note that currently there are no dedicated helplines, but there are some common helplines that you can call where you can seek for help. The police helpline 100 is open to all, regardless of gender or sexual orientation. The National Commission for Women have a police helpline number, which is 1091, where women and trans women can call and report any crime and assistance will be provided. There is a missing persons and kidnapping helpline, which is 1094, which anyone can call in such situations. And it's very important to understand that getting help and support in the form of legal support, where you approach a lawyer to help you from the stage of filing the FIR till the stage of going to court, for protection and shelter, approaching NGOs and civil societies that work for LGBTQ rights. They will definitely help you in assisting, they will definitely assist you in times of trouble or if you require any immediate help. Some NGOs also provide shelter, employment opportunities, and counseling for groups. And there are also specific employment related support groups that you may also see, that may include trade unions, NGOs, or institutions that work on LGBTQ rights. And they are not allowed to discriminate against transgenders for any reason because of the new Transgender Act. More than anything, the summary that Shunotra and I have given have particularly analyzed all the existing provisions in law. And the Transgender Act is something that has come very recently. And until the rules have also actually come in, we will not be able to see how it actually works out. So we will definitely have another session specifically on that act and the rules after it has come out, so we can let you know what the specific rights you have under that law is. Now, thank you so much for participating with us today, and I hope this was a very informative session. It is helpful if you can reach out to lawyers and support groups that work in the LGBTQ space so that there's a better understanding on how to approach your situation. There will be a higher degree of subjectivity there. And if you have any questions, please drop it on the Ask Nyaya tab that we have on www.nyaya.org. It was great chatting with you.